Hi, I'm Angie Hilton and welcome to Unbreakable Entrepreneurs. As business owners, major challenges are inevitable. So how do we steel ourselves to weather the storms? Here, you'll find real-life stories of resilience, as well as tips from thought leaders and mental health experts on how to become unbreakable entrepreneurs. Sharp Group co-owner Lyndsay Sharp, alongside husband David, have literally changed the face of the Bellarine Peninsula with iconic businesses including Lyndsay Park Estate, Flying Brick Cider Company, wine brand Yes Said the Seal, Jack Rabbit and Kerr Lewis Golf Club. It was so good to catch up with Lyndsay and hear all about her path to success. She has an amazing optimistic attitude and a little bit of a cheeky side. Good morning, Lyndsay. Thank you for joining us on Unbreakable Entrepreneurs. It's such an honour to have you on because I know how busy you are. Where are you today?
I am actually, especially for this podcast, sitting in my home office, which you can probably see behind is quite messy. There's tubs of things. And yes, I'm not actually proud to be doing a reveal like this.
You didn't know we were going to film, did you? So for those who don't know you, could you give us a snapshot of what you do, what you get up to and the businesses that you're running?
Okay, so I am co-owner with husband David of Lyndsay Park Estate, Jack Rabbit Vineyard, Flying Brick Cider Co and Kerr Lewis Golf Club. So my official title is Director of Marketing, Sales and Hospitality, the Sharp Group. So in a nutshell, I oversee and I'm responsible for getting people to come and visit and experience our venues and to make sure they have a good time when they're there.
You have provided so many entertainment options for us lucky folk down the coast and in Geelong. Let's go back to start with. Where did you start with your business career and were you studying? Were you always a Geelong girl?
Grew up in Geelong, left Geelong, which I think a lot of us did in those days, going, I am never going back to that hole.
Yes.
Went to university in Melbourne and then went travelling, as you do. Came back, worked in Melbourne in PR, marketing, journalism, and then met a big strapping Hamilton boy in Melbourne who then got a job in Geelong. So we moved back down and had our 3 kids, lived in Bowen Heads for years. And long story short, we'd been looking for a business we could do together, and our strengths really align. He grew up on a farm. So the thought of taking on a vineyard, it was basically just a crop. We both of us love food and wine. My background in PR, a lot of it was in food and wine marketing. I was the inaugural publicist for the first 3 years of the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival. And that was in the days before chefs were celebrities, before, there was really any kudos, to be honest, given to chefs and things like masterclasses or, some of the things that was great. You'd never do it again. The first longest lunch, there was only one, was in the middle of right down the middle of the MCG.
Wow.
The second year, which just wouldn't be allowed these days, was on the St Kilda Pier, and all the wait staff were on rollerblades.
Oh,
can you imagine?
Gosh.
From a safe perspective, that happening, it was very cool. Some of the things.
That's excellent.
And the final day of the first year, this was only done once because it was a logistical nightmare, was this thing called Food Streets, where they closed off the 4 key culinary streets of Melbourne, which was Brunswick Street, Lygon Street, Chapel Street, and in St Kilda, Ackland Street. So that meant, no trams, the whole shebang out on the road.
Wow.
And that was before mobile phones. So there was fax frenzy going on, in the build-up. It was quite extraordinary, but, really proud. And from that, things like the Brunswick Street Festival was born there.
Yeah.
And it was a privilege to be, have the exposure to these amazing people on the committee and see a lot of these concepts really come to life.
Were you part of coming up with the concepts? Was that part of your role?
I had some contribution, but it was just it was a never before done thing. And I really think that was the catalyst to, it was born from Peter Clemenger's disappointment in Melbourne not getting the Olympics.
Yeah, right.
And it went on from there because, Melbourne was kind of secretly known as the culinary capital of Australia, but it took it to the next level. So that was a great thing to be part of. Anyway, where am I going? Why am I babbling? And what am I doing?
I love it. I want to know everything. So that gave you the inspiration. So you've come down, you've bought your first business with David. Firstly, I wanted to ask, where did you meet David? What was the romantic story behind that?
We met at a B&S. It was actually the Lucendale races. He was actually sharing a house with some friends in Melbourne. But I actually met him in South Australia at this thing called the Lucendale races, which was back B&S sort of days gone by too. They were big, black tie, boozy weekends, really.
I remember. I went
in
to
the country.
one.
Yeah,
never forget
and
them.
then you drive back to Melbourne with a terrible hangover.
Yes, and they used to do things like throw dye everywhere, and I remember being on stage with them.
You've been to one too.
I've been to one. I'll never forget it because the bass player got knocked out. We were on the band, and the bass player got knocked out by a full stubby. Oh my God.
Yeah. So that sort of sets the tone of.
So you met him there, and did he approach you? What was was it a love at first sight kind of thing, or?
It was. It depends who you talk to. Then he kept on turning up to our parties in Melbourne. So I guess I always say he stalked me. But I did think he was pretty cute when I met him.
But you do seem to complement each other. Whenever I've seen you, David is more, would you say, reserved in general, and you're the front person?
Look, that's the only way we could ever work together. It's great because like I said, our skill sets do complement each other. There's very much a line in the sand. So in a nutshell, I'm all things front of house.
Yeah.
And that is who I am, what I do. And he is in charge of winery, vineyard, finance and logistics. So it works really well. And, it also means that there's a definitive person to go to. So basically all venues come to me, and all administration goes to him.
Yes.
And winery, vineyard. So that's good. So there's people can't sneak around either of us. I like to think it's a good cop, bad cop scenario, but he probably differs on that too.
So starting with Lura Park, and this is your first business together. What was it like going into business together and not having worked together, and how did it grow?
Okay, so we took over Lura Park, and he'd actually already been down sneakily and had a look at it all. And then one day casually said, you should go down, contact the agent, have a look at this. It might be all right. I said, okay, all right. Paddled down, and he said, whatever you do, don't show your cards. And I went, oh, no, I would never do that. And so we went to the cellar door first, just the agent and myself. And it was tiny little, don't know whether you remember it, tiny, tiny little cellar door. And I walked in and went, oh, my God, this has got so much potential. Oh, my God, I got really excited. And then we drove a 1K up the hill to the house. And our house has, in my view, the perfect kitchen. It's got a big long bench. It's actually a commercial kitchen. So it's got, stainless steel. It's got lots of room, everything. And I walked in and went, oh, my God, anyway, it went on.
It's amazing. I'll take it.
And I went back and went, he said, what did you think? And I went, oh, well, we have to do that. This is perfect. So we took it on, and there was two part-time employees. That was our staff. One was in the vineyard and one was in the cellar door. The cellar door was open Saturday, Sundays. And I approached, which was always going to happen, and, looked at the cellar door and went, okay, well, we're paying the cellar door manager more than we're taking every weekend. There's no visitation. So I started doing food there. So I was actually I used to call it the cupboard because it was basically a food prep area. So I started doing pizzas and platters. And the other thing, originally, there's 40 acres of vines here at Lura Park, and all of it, when we took over, was all of the vines were all of the grapes were being sent up to De Bortley, and they'd get basically 350 dozen back across 5 varietals. So, about 70 dozen of the 5 varietals. So I thought, okay, we need more wine. So that's where the 2 sparklings, I love sparkling, 2 sparklings were born, the Pinot Chardy first, and then the Blanc de Blanc, which the Blanc de Blanc in particular is one of our signature wines. And then we went on from there. We've expanded the range, got our own winemaker, a bit further down the track, built a winery behind the cellar door, developed the cellar door, put a proper kitchen in, etc., etc. So yeah, that was kind of the start of it. So it was quite funny that we took over in October, which is when all the vines are really starting. They're a bit like Triffids; they just go crazy, and didn't have the manpower to control them a bit. And I went, I don't care what you do something to the front block, which is the Pinot Noir block, because people are going to drive past and say, oh, my God, ferals have taken over.
That's out of control.
That's our shop front. Get onto it. Anyway, so one morning he and his dad got out chainsaws and just went down and then tidied it all up so that people would drive past and go, oh, it's still intact. It still looks good, because that's really important. That not driving past and seeing this, wildlife sanctuary after it had been so pristine. So anyway, that was a long time ago, and we still joke about it.
What year was that?
That was 2007.
Okay. Yep. And so you grew Lura Park for a few years, and then moved on to, what was your next step from there?
Okay, so yeah, Lura Park paddled along nicely. And it started off, I used to get friends to come over and park their cars out the front of the cellar door, and it also totally rebranded it, refreshed it in every way. We'd always said that if there's a little winery with a restaurant, a little tiny old restaurant there called Kilgore Estate, which had the best views on the Bellarine. And we'd always said, if that ever comes up, we'll mortgage our souls to get it, because the potential was so huge. Anyway, it came up, and the real estate agent, it had actually been sold, but that sale had fallen through. So we'd sort of given up on the thought. And then one day David rang me and said, look, this real estate agent's just called, and apparently it's up for sale. Do you want to go over there? I said, oh, yeah, and I hopped in the car, met him that afternoon. And again, David said, don't show our cards. I went, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Anyway, met with the agent. I knew what we could go up to, went and had a quick look. The decision was made before I got there, basically, and drove home. And David got home and said, how did you go? And I said, oh, good. And he said, so what happened? And I said, oh, the agent will be here in about 5 minutes with the contract.
Oh, are you serious?
But that was that one.
Oh my gosh! And what was his reaction? Okay, darling, that's why I love you, because you're spontaneous.
Yeah, I was beside myself with excitement that we got it. Anyway, so that, then I turned it into Jack Rabbit. We smashed down what was the previous owner's house, and that became the House of Jack Rabbit. And then we also then smashed down the original restaurant, and that became the Jack Rabbit restaurant. So it's been quite the evolution. It's been lovely. So
it all sounds so exciting. I mean, these first 2 steps, were there any moments where you thought, this is all too much, I've got to back out, where it got super hard?
No, I loved it.
Loved
I
every
love
bit.
hospitality.
Yeah.
I love marketing. I love food and wine. You know, it really, look, there were lots of funny moments along the way, where you just thought this is just Faulty Towers moments, really. You know, the one time, you know, in the old restaurant when it had become Jack Rabbit and I'd done a bit of a Band-Aid with the decor and things, it used to have a tiny little balcony and that could seat, you know, tables of two all the way along. And there was a couple of wasp nests that were in holes in the walls, sort of around about. Anyway, I was working on the floor and all the tables along the balcony were full. And, you know, I was doing quality check, how's everything going? And then one table said, good, except these wasps keep on sort of buzzing out. And I said, oh, leave it with me. I don't know what I was thinking. I went and got a can of Peebo or Mortein and squirted it, a serious blonde moment, squirted it into the hole.
Oh, my God.
And so it was like a cartoon. So, like, it seemed like thousands of really angry wasps just came out. And so every table, we all ended up running literally down around the corner. But it was, I couldn't stop laughing. It was so funny that all these people were suddenly my best friend going, what were you thinking? Oh, my God, you are an idiot. What were you thinking? I just kept on laughing. It was, you know, anyway, needless to say, there was a few complimentary glasses of wine or bottles of wine that day, but they all were very good-natured about it because it was just funny. It was just stupid.
Something that should have been filmed, obviously.
Yeah, it was filmed very quickly and all that sort of thing, but it was very, very early days. But yeah,
Oh, that's hilarious. So you've got Lira Park, Jack Rabbit, all thriving. What comes next?
Okay, well, that same year as Jack Rabbit, 2010 was a big year because there was sort of an inkling that cider was starting to cider, having had, you know, 30 years, 40 years in hiatus, really, that cider was getting pretty cool. And it made sense from a lateral integration thing because sort of perspective, because for 6 months of the year, our stainless fermenters that ferment things like Riesling, Sauv Blanc sit dormant.
Right.
And so we started a sort of 10 to 12 month process of experimenting. We got our Jack Rabbit winemaker, Niall Condon, to experiment. The three of us, it was all cloak and dagger, sat down and I think tasted, you know, 24, 30 different ciders from Australia, around the world, and got it down to the core flavour profiles that we all liked. It was all cloak and dagger, no other staff members knew about it because I was determined that we were going to be the first.
Oh, great.
At least the first on the Bellarine. So, you know, we had fermenters with blankets over them. It was all that. Anyway, and then went to market one day. I developed the brand and went, that's the day we're going to launch. Here we go with Stubbies, and had a schedule. And so probably about 6 of us went out to different sites on the one day and went, right, here we go, here are some samples, here's all the information, here's the pricing, you know, first on the Bellarine, la, la, la. And it took off from there. And happily, it was received really well in the market and went from strength to strength. And then we decided it really needs its own home. And so at the Adventure Park, Ron and Heather, who we know well, they had the block, the little triangle block opposite Adventure Park, and they sold it to us. That was on the market, and yes, we bought it, and then that's how Flying Brick was born. So that officially opened its doors December 2014.
So the timing was just all right for all these projects. It seems like you've just had this nice natural flow of things lining up. Do you feel like you?
I think probably the hardest aspect along the way, which will probably sound really strange, was growth, because all of a sudden, you know, between Lura and Jack Rabbit,
Mm.
you know, Jack Rabbit was quite the transition because it's 7-day a week, essentially fine dining restaurant. It was originally, and now there's 2, you know, and so there was more staff, which meant more issues, all those sorts of things. Then Flying Brick. And so having walked away from all things corporate, we then did a complete turnaround and introduced basically, you know, corporate style policies, procedures, processes, because we had to. The best thing we ever did was employ a full-time HR manager, because HR is so critical. And, you know, I'd often find I'd go to work thinking I'm going to get this done, and would spend time, you know, sorting out whatever HR issues that arose that day. So that was a huge relief, actually.
How many staff would you have across the board now with all the businesses?
Across the board, 254, Ange, exactly.
Wow, exactly.
Of which it's 120 full-time equivalents.
Oh my goodness.
So it's come a long way from 2 part-timers. So yeah.
In a short amount of time, really, too, to have done everything, wouldn't you say? It feels like all your things have just kept popping up, and it's like, what's Lyndsay and Dave going to do next? It's so exciting.
It's all been half calculated. You know, it's almost, it's organic growth. You know, like if 5-6 years ago you had said, why don't you buy a golf club? I would have gone, why don't you stop drinking? Or what are you taking? But, you know, we'd been the wine partner of Kaluas for years, and there were all these rumours going around that it was going under, you know, it was in financial distress, etc. And we went to a friend's 50th, right, on a Friday night, and I was standing around talking to people, and one of the guys in the group got a text or an EDM. Must have been boring conversation if he was looking at his. He was fubbing. That's a new word. He was
fubbing. What's that? I've missed that one. What's fubbing?
Fubbing is when. So if I'm talking to you and you go, it's like you know, fobbing off. It's crossbred fobbing off, but it's with your phone. I've just learned it too.
Oh my God.
The kids are very good at it, Ange.
I don't know if I'm a fubber. I probably am. Depends who I'm talking to. No.
Well, exactly. So you're fubbing. So that's anyway, and this guy went, that's it. Kaluas have put their, you know, they're going under, they've put up their fees, or there's a surcharge on water or whatever it was. That's it, I'm leaving. And I said, oh, they really are in trouble. And you went, there's no hope. Anyway, the following Monday, and it was really, I went over there with just being, I don't know what, not even sort of just wanting to see how they were. Certainly with no intention of, hey, do you want us to buy you out? Went over and saw the general manager and said, hey, you know, how's it going? And he went, it's not good. And I said, look, I haven't got anything to say, but is there anything we can do to help? Because you could almost see the property sharks circling around the whole place. And there's so much Lego land popping up all around the Bellarine and it's such a beautiful golf course and you know, community facility. And yeah, there was no, hey, we're here on the big white horse. Anyway, the next day, very next day, within 24 hours, we were sitting down with 2 members from the executive committee of Kaluas, and it went on from there. And then it had to go to a member majority vote to accept our proposal. And they needed 75%, and it got across the line at 78%. But in the lead up, there was so much smoke and you know, rumours going around, and you know, the sharks want to steal the water. The sharks want to plant vines all over the golf course. You know, it was just extraordinary. So I remember one day I had to stand up in front of all of the lady members and just answer whatever questions they wanted, anything, you know, how old our children were, what I did, everything. And then not long before the actual vote, which we couldn't go to, of course, that was I think it was in the Geelong West Town Hall, we had to stand up to a hostile crowd. They're all sitting there in the clubhouse and answer any questions, going with our microphone. No, we're not planting vines. No, that's a nice question. What happens if one of you dies?
Oh,
just everything.
Oh my
anyway,
God.
and then at the 11th hour, 2 other parties came in saying, we'll buy it, don't worry, da-da-da. So there was a lot of confusion. I had I walked away the week before. I just went, we're not going to get it. There's too much. There's too much disruption. I'd written the gracious in defeat statement ready because there was, sort of escalating interest. So I was ready to go bang with that.
Yeah.
And we went out for dinner on the vote night with friends, actually to Flying Brick, and waiting to hear the news that what we thought, we hadn't got it. Anyway, got the phone call and I went, oh, here it comes. Oh, right. And one of the lovely members from the executive who we'd been working with along the way said, are you sitting down? And I said, yes, I'm sitting down. Don't
thinking the worst.
Tell us the bad news. And he went, congratulations, you own a golf club. And I just went, and I didn't know whether it was shock. It was, and then sort of, okay, put the phone down. And then I thought, I don't know whether I want to do this. This is really, I'm actually really scared now.
Yeah,
and, and sort of David and I sat there going, okay. It took about a week to go.
To process it.
So anyway, but it then, got that sort of mojo back, I guess. I mean, look, before it, I'd already had the logo designed, redesigned. I was, I'd done the taglines. I was almost, jumping, very much jumping the gun.
Yeah.
And then, that's it. Would have been good, but no. So, then that whole process started, that's been a lovely, lovely journey. Challenging, but absolutely, exceptional.
It's hearing you talk about it, you just seem so fearless and optimistic. And is that your natural factory setting? Yeah.
What?
Would you say it's your natural factory setting to be, see that, yes, we can, as you say, it's calculated, but there is that a lot of people would get stuck in fear at points, wouldn't they?
I get excited about things and, you've actually got to back your ability. As you've got to go, I can do this, and you've got to go, I know I'm capable of it. So let's just, scope it out and work to plan. What I loved, there was a whole lot of things going on with the golf club. One, we were walking into basically 50 to 60% hostile members. So, it used to take about half an hour to walk from the car park into the clubhouse because they'd be hiding behind the bushes, ready to ambush you and have they're all lovely, but ready to go, while I've got you, have you thought about, all that sort of thing. So that was challenging but good. The good thing is that, I think if you asked any member, I hope anyway, now, was the takeover a good thing? They would say yes, because they know that we do what we're true to our word. We said we'd do, we did, and we're very, we are honest. It's not, we're not going to chop it up. We are committed to it into the future. The course rankings have rocketed because we've put money into course improvements. We've built the range. If that wasn't, substance behind the, yes, we're committed to the future of the golf club. I don't know what is. And now the clubhouse and accommodation development, without chopping up the course. So yeah, it's been fabulous and fun, and yeah, it's been lovely.
And I just got to see it for the first time the other day, and it is stunning. And I was blown away at how tasteful and stylish and just amazing it is for our community to even have this here, and the accommodation.
I know, it's exciting.
Yes.
So that took 4 years. So that was the original concepts were 4 years ago. And then, there was kind of a lot of, we all fluffed around a lot because in my mind, the design wasn't quite right and it was still boxy and all this sort of thing. Anyway, once the architect sort of came back with the central concept with the rounds, the design flowed from there. But it's been it's exciting.
Oh, you should be so proud. So future plans, are we stopping at the golf club, or any secrets you can share?
I think that's probably enough. There's so many things, but I think that's probably enough. And there'll be some more. We've got plans to do more at Kaluas, but really it's now just consolidating everywhere and making sure everywhere can be the best it can be. So, or working with the teams to come up with what can we do this year. What events can we stage? What how can we? It's that constant reimagining, so that people can come and not just have the same experience. They can have new experiences, innovative experiences, which are venue specific. That's really important too. Every venue's got its own sort of personality, I guess.
It really does, doesn't it?
Nothing gets me more agitated when people go, oh, it's all the same wine, just with different labels. It's so not. Different winemakers, different clones, different vineyards across the Bellarine, everything, different oaks, blah, 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 blah. So, yes, it's quite interesting when I'm behind the bar and people go, apparently the same owners own, whatever, and you'll go, I've heard that. And they'll go, it's all the same. And you'll go, no, it's not.
Do you then fess up? Do you say, by the way?
It depends on my mood. Sometimes I just
wind them up.
And I've had it's quite a few times. This is quite funny. People will come in and go, I'm friends with the owner.
Oh, you're kidding.
And you're like, are you?
To you.
Great. I haven't caught up with them a while. How are they? And blah, blah, blah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, you can be, that's naughty, I know, but sometimes you can't help yourself.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But anyway.
That's your personality. I'm curious to know, with everything you're managing, how do you and David wind down? Do you deliberately take time out, or how do you look after yourselves?
That's an interesting question. After 2.5 years, 2 years of COVID, and then this year's been quite peculiar, is one way of describing it. We will go, we've got a place up at Byron Bay. That's kind of like to be honest, I personally need to get away, because while I'm here, I can't help myself. But, there's always something to do on email, at the venues. There's just, so I need to be removed. David's solace is he has got, 1,000+ sheep and lucerne and everything, and that's his passion, to go out and, just sustain his agricultural passion.
Is that on? Is David's other sheep at Lura Park somewhere at the back? Where do you keep your sheep?
Some here, but we've also got other acreage down near St Leonard's and around Mannering and Bellarine Hills and things. So which have vines on them too. So it's a great thing in two respects. We having the sheep there, sort of the lawnmowers around the vines, so that reduces our carbon footprint. But also a lot of the lamb goes into the restaurants, so it's
perfect.
Beautiful. Lamb we all grew up with. Grass fed till the end, and
Beautiful. And what about as a couple working together? Do you have any tips for other people going to business that it might be a husband and wife team? How do you make it work so well?
By having that line in the sand and not deviating. That's the secret to success. Our values are the same. We're both hard workers. We're both committed to the businesses. Very passionate about this region. I've been at things where people go, Lyndsay, the Bellarine is not the centre of the universe. You're going, oh, no. And I'll go, oh, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Point taken. So, it's this whole region, Geelong and the Bellarine, it's wonderful seeing it going through this. It's not even a renaissance. It's a total rebirth, and it's great to be part of it. And it's great to see more and more talent moving down here in all sectors. It's just an exciting time to be here and contributing to the region's evolution. I really mean that. It's wonderful.
What would you
and
really
it was lovely too during COVID that community support and cohesion in let's get through this together. That was tangible, and I think it brought all the communities together in so many ways. So that was a COVID positive.
Speaking of COVID, I mean, we haven't gone into how tough that must have been, but you have such an optimistic outlook in the way you approach things. How did you go through that?
Well, do you know, that too for everyone has been a really, in retrospect, a fascinating journey. I mean, I think a month out before, we went into lockdown for the first time in 2020, I think, I would be the first to put my hand up and say I was kind of arrogant, going, it's a bit like the chicken flu. It's not going to get to Australia. And then, a few weeks out, started thinking, this is actually getting serious. And so all the way through, communication was the most critical thing to all our teams. So our HR manager was sending out links. I was sending out recommendations with, this is just in case, register for Centrelink. Let's just, that's the worst case scenario, but, we really actually need to start thinking about these sorts of things. And then we had the first ever Australian Cider Day on Saturday, March the 14th, 2020. And I don't think I slept. It was, of course, it was Friday the 13th, I don't think I slept at all because it was really funneling into something that was quite scary.
Yes,
and, this is actually could hit. And I was up and going across every possible social platform on Friday the 13th overnight. And they were saying from Monday on, there's no events, more than 500 people allowed. And then medical people were saying, why Monday? This is a pandemic, shut things down. Yeah. So at 4:00 in the morning, I made the call to cancel it.
Oh my God.
And so in doing so, we lost $50,000 just like that because, bands, we had 4 bands, we had marquees set up, we had food, we had, anyway, but it was the right thing to do. I felt so Saturday I think we had 527 people booked, and we expected a lot more to walk in on the day, and it was just sort of no, I can't do that. No, this is medical professionals are saying this is bad. So that basically was the switch for a really bewildering week where the goalposts were changing almost on a daily basis, with, you know, density quotients becoming stricter, tighter, you know, all that,
Yep.
you know, sanitizer rule, all those sorts of things. I spent most of that week going around to each venue because there was this overriding sense of bewilderment everywhere with what's going to happen, what are you going to do to fix it type thing.
Yep.
And it was just going, don't worry, keep calm, register for Centrelink, we'll be right, and then that final shutdown, that was very tough. I tried to get round to, I sent an email, of course, to everyone, but went round to every venue to try and personally stand everyone down, which was unheard of.
Oh my gosh.
So I think every single person who works for us or did then has seen me just sobbing.
Wow.
But anyway, look, so I reckon there was, and then I wrote all the statements, you know, farewell, see you soon for every Facebook site. But, you know, after the sort of dust settled on the shock, we went, okay, we've just lost 95% of our revenue overnight. We've got all these amazing people. We have to sustain them. They're feeling shocked and bewildered. Started up a Facebook site called It Doesn't Have to Totally Suck, because I thought, you know, we need to keep that personal connection between everyone.
Yes.
That uptake was great. But then moving forward, it was a case of every time there was an announcement, I'd send an email out to everyone going, this is what it means for you. Here's the links to the latest media release. Here's the new restrictions. This is what we can do for you. Contact Joe in HR because we'll do whatever you want, you know, annual leave. Further down the track, it was monitoring and managing their job keeper payments. We would do whatever it took to make people not feel isolated.
Yes.
During when people were stood down every time, I'd kept on the functions managers a couple of days a week because that connection to, you know, bridal couples, functions, you know, that was critical to not just suddenly go auto respond. We're hiding because of COVID. It was that we'll work it out, and that was great. Same with the sales team. Kept them on a couple of days a week to keep connection with trade customers, so that, you know, and we would take back wine if that meant helping them. We would, you know, and I think it's that kept on our digital manager because we suddenly had to, you know, be pivotal and fluid. So we had, you know, I feel like we couldn't have done anything better. You just got into that survival strategic mojo. What can we do? What can we do for the community? What can we do to get through the other end? What can we do to keep staff? So, you know, we had Jack Rabbit at home. We had high cheese at home. We had the chefs. This was great too. Did a lot of cooking for Feed Me Bellarine.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that
great.
kept them engaged. You know, when we had the one kitchen up at the range going, we had the barrel shed sale. I think I said that at Lura Park to keep cash flow going, but to keep as many people as possible engaged. When JobKeeper came in, that was a godsend, but it was really good on so many ways. So everyone went and worked, did what was needed. That was right out of their comfort zone. So we had chefs helping out with course maintenance at the golf club. We had front of house staff and chefs pruning vines.
Wow.
We had front of house staff doing trade deliveries. There'd be a whole lot of us packing up the boxes for the Feed Me, you know, at home. Remember one day up at the range, I think 30 kilos of octopus turned up and about 40 kilos of scun rabbit.
Oh, wow.
And some other things, you know, from Feed Me Bellarine.
Like,
and they
do something with this.
and then they turned them into meals.
Wow.
Because at the time, over the time, places like Feed Me Bellarine, it was actually inspiring to see, but devastating to see that, before COVID, they were doing, between 500 and 900 meals a week.
Yeah.
To people that just needed a hot meal, that they'd fallen on tough times for whatever reason. And very quickly that escalated to 2,000 meals a week, and it's still sitting around there now.
Is that right?
It's a
Still
lot.
now?
Yeah.
They're amazing, aren't they? Feed Me Ballerina, another great.
So it was a privilege to be able to, you're going, this really sucks for everyone. And, gee, I hope we get through this. I think we will. We're certainly doing our best to get through it. But, I'm still going to the supermarket and putting food on the table, and there's people that aren't. So that was,
reality check,
and
isn't
it
it?
was a good morale booster too for the chefs. It was good having various things to channel your energy towards.
Yes.
But it also made we have an annual group Christmas party. It's always at Lura Park. A lot of people would say it's so David and I can drive up the hill.
Perfect.
But I say it's because that's where it all started. And it was really good because most years I go around between, everyone's in clusters, and I'll go over and go, can you rabbits please go and talk to everyone from the golf club? Push. Can you flying Greeks come and talk to the Lunas, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that was the first year where there was just this organic assimilation because they'd worked together, doing all sorts of things.
Wow.
Which that was great. That was a lovely thing to see.
Yeah, and that's your leadership. That is your optimistic, enthusiastic, that you just ooze that, and to step up like that and navigate it. That's incredible. And I'm sure all your staff were loyal to just be there ready and waiting when you came through it.
They were, and I feel very proud of that. That there's only a handful of people that had an epiphany of, this industry is too volatile, or I'm going to go and get a job at TAC, or somewhere that is, if anything ever happens again.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of grit. There's a lot of spirit in true hospitality people. They're in it for a reason. They love it. It's making people have a great experience, and being that facilitator is a really good thing.
The buzz. It's the buzz of hospitality, isn't it? And
it really is. I mean, you get it. You've been in hospital, and same thing with music. You just, there's something special, when you perform, and
that's
people,
it. When you,
some
when it
older
actually
people get up and dance when you're doing ABBA. I don't know who
some
that is,
old people.
but,
But just getting to, you sometimes have a moment of, we're putting this on, this is happening, and people are really having fun and forgetting about all the cares of the world. And that's, I don't know, it's pretty cool.
And we did that.
Yeah.
That's because we're pampering you, or you're relaxed, and this is your downtime, and you're living with a smile on your face.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yes. Well, I know you are such a busy lady, so I'll have to start wrapping up so that you can get on with your day. But lastly, what would you say young people getting into business, any words of wisdom as they launch into something new, maybe working for themselves?
Okay. There's a few things. If you think you've got a good idea, you probably have. And so it's a case of backing yourself, but then it's a case of planning and assessing. It's basic risk assessment is a good start. And then really, not just being not knee-jerk, but, back it up with some substance, but follow through. Don't be afraid. It's actually critical to roll your sleeves up, and do not ever expect other people to do something you won't do. I will still clean toilets. I will still, Probably my least favourite job is vomit. I'm not good with vomit. But, it's critical. Don't, if you want to get into events, you need to go and volunteer and learn. You need to hammer in pegs. You need to know how to run an event from the ground up. But also, I think anything is possible. I mean, we took over Lura Park with a view. It was kind of romantic. It was the ultimate. The two of us, job that we can do together. How romantic. We love wine. It's a vineyard, la la la. And, it went from 2 part-time people to 254. We weren't expecting that, but it just goes to show that anything is possible. So it's still okay to follow a dream. I would really encourage people to back themselves, but do the, focus on elbow grease. It doesn't just happen. There's that expression, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah, this is so true.
I'm a big believer in that, very much. But go for it.
Yeah. And lastly, what would you, one last thing, I did say that was the last one. What would you love to see for our city, Geelong, Surf Coast, Bellarine? Have you got any visions for our future?
I think it's on the right track. You look around and see, as I said before, all the talent coming here. You look at the things like the little Mallup Street precinct. I mean, I grew up in Geelong, and, how nice that you can walk down little Mallup Street these days. In my day, we were walking to the Eureka to stand on sticky carpet and see a band, and in the back of your mind was, am I going to get stabbed? And now it's a really global standard, classy, culinary precinct. And then with the Geelong Arts Centre coming along, I went on a site tour of that the other day, and that's a game changer. It's going to be phenomenal.
Wait.
I think, Geelong and the Bellarine as a tourist destination is up there with the best in the world. It's got everything. It's got, great beaches, great land, great cultural precincts, food, wine, of course. It's amazing. I think we're so lucky.
We sure are.
Great musicians, Ange.
Oh yes, Lyndsay. Yeah. We just want to thank you so much for your time. There's so much in there for our gang at the Chamber to listen into and get inspired by. And we just thank you from the bottom of our hearts for making our region so exciting and entertaining and getting us this beautiful wine and cider and all the stuff you're doing, basically.
I didn't do Dry July because, I call it research. It would actually be bad for business.
A whole month. I mean, seriously, who can do that? I've never even attempted to think that I could do that. But anyway, so thanks again for your time. And we'll see you at all your events. And everyone, get used to seeing Lyndsay's face here, because don't go and pretend you know the owner if you don't know the owner, because she'll catch you out on that one.
I will be on to you. And depending if I'm in a mischievous mood, I wouldn't embarrass you. No, I wouldn't do that. Well, I might.
Thanks, Lyndsay. Can't wait to see you at your next big event.
Yeah, thank you, Ange.
Thanks for your time, and we'll see you down at the Chamber functions, hey? Next one?
Yep, you will.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
I'm Angie Hilton, and thanks for listening to Unbreakable Entrepreneurs Podcast. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe and head to geelongchamber.com.au for more wellbeing tips. This has been brought to you by the Geelong Chamber of Commerce and the Partners in Wellbeing program.